that this regime will lie, cheat, and steal. You cannot trust this regime to tell you the truth about anything, and certainly about the crimes that it commits. So we should... Oh, it's accurate.
And I saw that you also appreciated this. I think there was an appearance yesterday where a few Democrats now are strongly considering not funding DHS. I mean, that should be a no-brainer.
It should be. It's not, and we should get into this. What I'm seeing is, there's performative outrage, and then there's action, and I do think that Americans should be angry. I'm looking for Americans to be angry now. I'm looking for electeds to act. I'm looking for them to actually do something now, and it's not enough just to yell about this. Using the leverage that you've got is what we need in this moment. Democrats are in the minority in Congress. That doesn't mean they're powerless, though. So they do have the ability to do something.
Folks, you've joined me in mid-conversation with Ezra Levin, not Levine, not Levine, Ezra Levin, co-executive director of the Indivisible Project. They helped organize the massive No Kings rally. And according to Pam Bondi in this Justice Department, they are, I'm not making this up, potential Antifa, domestic terrorists, radical leftists.
You found us.
Yeah, and you might think I'm joking, folks, but according to the National Security Presidential Memo 7 that was released in September alongside the decree that Antifa is a terrorist group, indicators of left-wing terrorism or radical left-wing terrorism are those individuals who espouse anti-Americanism, I'm not making this up, or anti-Christianity. And we already saw yesterday DHS Secretary Kristi Noem shamefully, in death, villainize Robin Good, a 37-year-old mother who was murdered in broad daylight by an ICE agent, and Kristi Noem, using the National Security Presidential Memo 7, we've been talking about on the show, Ezra, said that Robin Good was a, quote, domestic terrorist who weaponized her car, and she was trained to do that. But Ezra, we have eyes. And even though this is an Orwellian government that says the final most essential command was not to trust the evidence of your eyes and ears, I'm sure you saw Donald Trump's hateful lie of a post where he claimed Robin Good viciously and violently ran over the ICE agent who walked towards her and then ran away and drove away his car. Last night, Ezra, I reached out to you because I couldn't sleep. I'm sure you couldn't sleep. Everyone's pissed off. There are certain moments that happen in history where it's like a spark. And this was less than a mile away from when George Floyd was murdered, less than a mile away. And I remember back then, some people were apathetic and said, oh, this keeps happening. And I said, sometimes all it takes is a spark. And that video footage of George Floyd ignited the largest protest in American history. So I reached out to you and I said, enough is enough. I want action. I'm done with milquetoast centrist Democrats. I'm done with performative outrage. I still don't know why they don't come out and say abolish ICE. But Ezra, how do we organize against this state-sanctioned terrorism and this modern Gestapo? I give it to you.
I think it starts with recognizing that this regime will lie, cheat, and steal. You cannot trust this regime to tell you the truth about anything, and certainly about the crimes that it commits. So we should have zero faith in any investigation or statement coming out of them about this murder of a Minnesota resident. We should have no faith in that. And this isn't any longer about them. We know they are a fascist regime. We know they are trashing the Constitution. We know that they are engaging in illegal activities every single day. We know that they want to cling to power, and we know that they will use propaganda to gin up support among 10, 20, 30, 40% of the public that will listen to them. That we know now. The question is, what do we do about it? What do we do about it? I was saying this earlier when we started. We should be angry that there is a secret police force that is murdering and disappearing Americans.
That's right.
That's a factual statement. We should be angry about that. That is what I want to see from Americans everywhere. But that's for us to be angry about. I don't just want to see anger from elected officials. Anger is nice. Like, I'm not saying that's bad. It's good to express the outrage that we all feel. But if you are a Democratic elected official and your solution to this moment is to yell about it on Twitter and then ask me for money for your campaign, I don't have any use for you. You are an elected official. You are not a pundit. So I am looking to you as an elected official to use the power that you've got. If you are a local official, a state official, or a federal official. And every one of those levels has something to do in this moment in response. At the federal level, the federal government's about to run out of money, and they're going to need Democratic votes, despite the fact that they are in the minority at the end of this month. Don't give them any fucking votes. Do not give them any money for the secret police or for this warmongering fascist president who wants to invade Greenland and Mexico and Cuba and rule over Venezuela. Stop giving them money. Stop giving them money. You have the ability to say, we're not going to give you any votes for that. At the federal level, like you said, that should be a no-brainer. Why on earth would you vote to give Kristi Noem or to give any one of this regime's officials another penny to execute on this regime's agenda? That is bonkers. Stop it.
No,
Stop
but
doing that.
Andrew, let's talk about that, because last night a few Democrats came out, and I know Representative Jay Paul, among others, have openly said that we have to shut down the government. Funding is coming up, and why the hell should we, exactly as you said, fund DHS run by Kristi Noem, who has openly lied to the American public, has referred to Robin Good, a murdered mother that we saw with our own eyes, as a domestic terrorist? Why? I mean, I think you framed it perfectly. Why are we funding our own executioner?
Yes.
And Chuck Schumer, according to the reporting yesterday, came out on Axios, is not for shutting down the government or not for funding DHS. So he has to be pressured by Democrats to do the right thing. I'm so sick and tired of Schumer. We could talk about it in a second. But Ezra, why isn't this a no-brainer slam dunk across the board for Democrats right now?
Look, I've spent years complaining about Schumer. I think Indivisible was the first organization to call for Schumer to be booted from leadership, which we did again when he surrendered on the last funding fight. When we were winning the funding fight, he surrendered again. Here's the thing about Chuck Schumer. He will not lead in this moment. He will follow if there's sufficient pressure. So complain about Schumer all you want. That's not going to get the change that we need. Every member of the Senate Democratic Caucus needs to be saying, Chuck, we're fighting on this. And if they do that, Chuck's going to fight. He's not going to be leading the way, but he will follow if there's sufficient pressure, if we make it the thing that Democrats have to do. And so that's why it is important for us as constituents to express our outrage. And it is important for elected officials then to hear that outrage and say, I have the power of the vote. Here is what I am going to do when this vote comes up. It is not acceptable for us to express outrage and then for us to hear outrage expressed by elected officials. That's punditry. And they are not pundits. They are elected officials who have a responsibility in this moment. And if they don't do that, we can continue to complain that we have a feckless opposition party, or we can demand better. And if we don't demand better, that's ultimately on us. It's not even on Chuck Schumer. It's not on your least favorite member of the Democratic caucus who just carries water for some corporate interest. That is on us for not doing the organizing necessary to build a party that actually fights back. So I'm done complaining about the Democratic Party letting us down. We got to build a better party. And we are in primary mode right now. Take Minnesota. Take Minnesota where this murder occurred. Angie Craig is out there talking about how bad ICE is and how bad Trump is as she vies for the nomination to be the Democratic candidate for Senate in Minnesota. You know what Angie Craig did last year? Angie Craig voted for the Laken-Riley Act in the House, giving Donald Trump an anti-immigrant pro-ICE bill as the first bill that he could sign. You know what she did last year? She joined other Democrats in thanking ICE for their service to our country. And now she wants to be the Democratic nominee. You know what she's doing this year? She is running for Senate with Chuck Schumer's support. He is fundraising for her. So if you are in Minnesota and you are frustrated with the current state of the Democratic Party and you want to see active, aggressive, pro-democracy opposition to this regime, show up for the members of the Democratic Party that are showing up for you. But if we don't do that, we're going to get more of the same. We are going to get more of the same.
Ezra, man, you're speaking my verse, and so I'm sitting back and I'm letting you just cook because I've been saying this for a while, and I'm so glad you mentioned the Lake and Riley Act, and I think we have to connect the dots for people,
Yep.
right? Because sometimes they might just say, "Oh, Waj and Ezra, no, now's not the time for divide and conquer. You're helping MAGA. Why are you being so critical against the Democrats? Vote blue no matter who." Sorry, miss me with it, Ezra. They're murdering us. They're killing our communities, and now they're killing white women. And furthermore, not only that, I'm old enough to remember what they did to Mamdani. Vote blue no matter who. You sided with Cuomo. You threw everything and the kitchen sink and a Bill Clinton against Mamdani, and you still haven't embraced Mamdani. Donald Trump, being a creature of the media, has publicly embraced Mamdani before the Democratic leadership. And now you are still, I cannot believe it's January 8th, 2026, Ezra. Why, oh, why is it not the mandate of the Democratic Party to go out and say abolish ICE? Not just abolish ICE, but abolish and prosecute ICE. The fact that they won't say it, the fact that not all of them, but they voted for the Lake and Riley Act, folks. I'm going to try to talk about this on the left. Took this draconian anti-immigrant measure could not have passed without Democratic support. A year ago, instead of standing on principle, you know what they did? Threw the woke under the bus. A year ago, Gavin Newsom on his podcast, who did he invite? Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon, where he agreed with them on their talking points. And I'm at the point right now, Ezra, if this is a Democratic Party, I don't need this party. If you're telling me this is the best that I have, I need to launch you into the sun. I believe we should be on a full-scale culling project, Culling. Carve out all the corporate centrists, the cowards, the weak, feckless. You said feckless. I called Jeffries and Jackie Rosen yesterday feckless on Blue Sky when I read their performative tweets. It's time to cull them and replace them with leaders. And this is why I'm focusing right now on this so much, because I think people need to wake up from the Stockholm syndrome that we have. Is like, we just got to vote blue no matter who. And these are the Democrats. There's a primary. I like, Ezra, talk to us about this moment, this moment that we have in the next year that we can say, all right, you say abolish ICE, you promise accountability, you fight. You're not willing to do it? Thank you for your service. We're launching you into the sun.
Yeah. Look, here, one thing I think we should start with is there are fighters within the Democratic Party. You've got
Right,
AOC,
right.
you've got Bernie, you've got Maxwell Frost, you've got Chris Van Hollen, you've got Chris Murphy. We've got our favorites. There are a lot of them in Congress right now. There are a lot more at the city level, at the gubernatorial level. We've got fighters. The problem is they are largely marginalized by the dominant faction, which is a
Yeah.
rollover and play dead status quo Democratic Party that refuses to recognize that we are a risk at losing our country and our democracy to a fascist overlord.
That's right.
And there are more than 100 House Democrats who represent Democrat plus 10 districts, Democratic plus 10 districts. So safe Democratic districts. Whoever wins the primary is going to win the general election. Do you think that we have 100 fighters in the House on the Democratic caucus? Do you see 100 AOCs? Do you see 100 Maxwell Frosts?
No.
You know as well as me, we can count on one, maybe two, maybe four hands, the number of fighters who are like, yeah, those guys, they kick ass. They're really out there fighting. We do not have 100 of them. And these are in places where you could primary this rollover and play dead Democrat and get a better Democrat. There's no general election consequence to that. The reason it doesn't happen is because, just as you said, there is this I don't know why it is out there. It's almost it's been an effective trick pulled on us that we can't fight amongst ourselves. We've just got to focus on Trump and the regime. So just back whatever shitty Democrat happens to represent you and let's move on. And here's what I'm going to say. That is why the Democratic Party brand is in the toilet. Chuck Schumer is the least popular political figure in the country. Not Donald Trump, not Kristi Noem, not any member of the Republican Party. Donald Trump is got twice the approval rating of Senator Schumer, who leads the Democratic caucus in the Senate. Why on earth are Democrats accepting this terrible brand? We can actually rebuild this brand, but the way to do that is in primaries. You
There you
back
go.
up candidates who don't take money from the funders of fascism, from AIPAC, from crypto, from the AI tech bros. You can choose candidates who refuse to do that, who commit to an aggressive oversight agenda, who aren't going to turn around in early 2027 when we retake the House and say, well, now we've got to put our differences aside and figure out how we can work with the regime on some common sense reforms. Fuck that. I want to see the subpoenas fly in 2027. I want to see the hearings. I want to see the oversight.
For you,
I
for
want to
you,
see
for
an
you, for you.
end to the agenda that this regime is putting on us. But we get that future if we demand it in the primaries, not if we wait until next year. So I would highly encourage everybody. We need to treat this moment, as tragic, as dark as it is, as an opportunity to rebuild a party that actually serves the American people. But that depends on our effort. It's not going to happen automatically, because if there's one thing that the Democratic Party is good at, it is self-preservation. It is sticking in office until you're 90 years old and you can physically no longer serve. Then maybe you get out. But they are very resistant to any kind of change. The only way that change comes is if we bring it, if we organize it. And lucky us, there are primaries right around the corner. Literally next month, the first caucuses of the Democratic primaries happen where? In Minnesota for the
Amazing.
Senate. Next month, weeks away. Let's express our opinions there and around the country. But before that, let's not gloss over what's happening, how we started this. They are murdering Americans in the streets. We need to show our outrage. And so I would highly, highly encourage folks, if you're looking for what you do, join the call. Indivisible is hosting it, but there's a lot of partners that are part of it this evening at 8 o'clock. We're going to be talking about what we can do in this moment right now, not next month, not in a few months, not next year, but right now, what we all need to be doing to express our outrage.
A great transition, because I was going to ask you, it's about grassroots and the bottom up, and it's about us putting pressure on the top and us putting pressure on institution and us putting bodies in the street. Last night, spontaneously, throughout the country, people came out, and I saw the videos. I'm sure you saw the videos. There was rage, because you see that video, and I'm a person, Ezra, who despite what people might assume based on how I write, I'm usually very calm. I drink my chai. I don't shout. I don't yell. I go on Piers Morgan, debate some of the world's worst people. They've never seen me lose my temper. I never get the neck veins. But I was deeply disturbed yesterday, and there was a righteous rage just bubbling in me, and many of it, much of it was, all of this could have been avoided. Much of it was, we told you so, even though I want no "we told you so" award. All of it was, I marched in the streets as a 21-year-old, as a UC Berkeley student, against the war on terror, knowing full well the war on terror would come at home, would be launched against Americans. This is it, folks. This is the war on terror launched against Americans. ICE was created after the war on terror. ICE, a Patriot Act, and Americans said, you know what? We would voluntarily trade our civil liberties for the feeling of safety. And a year ago, so many of us, even some Democrats and progressives, were like, go after the pro-Palestine activists. Go after the undocumented immigrants. Go after the trans students. I'm okay. I have a Tesla. Trump won't be that bad. I can't believe I heard this from so many people. And we kept saying, fascists come for everyone. Fascists come for everyone, and they're coming for Palestinians, they're coming for Muslims, they're coming for Somalis, they're coming for Mexicans, they're going to come for white folks. This is a white woman, an unarmed white woman, a mother with stuffed animals in the car, given two different directions, told to leave, then stay. I've seen the video. You can't bullshit me, Donald Trump. She tries to move her car, right? And Ezra, I said this yesterday. Okay, suppose the ICE agent thought she wasn't paying attention. What could he have done? Well, I don't know. Bang on the side of the car as cops say, stop right now. Suppose he's aggressive. Take out your gun, threaten to shoot, which is extremely aggressive. Take out your gun, do a warning shot. Take out your gun, take out the tires. Instead, what he does is he goes in the driver's side window, shoots at her point blank 3 times, casually walks over to her crashed car, sees that he's killed her, and then drives away. And then our government lies to us. The president lies to our face. Kristi Noem lies to us. And I'm sure you've seen all the MAGA reeks come in, like Megyn Kelly and everyone else, and Bill O'Reilly and all the people say, well, this is why you should pay attention to the cops and not weaponize your car. How do we channel that righteous rage and put bodies in the streets? Because I do not underestimate the power of the majority and the power of mass protests.
Look, first, we got to recognize there are more of us than there are of them. They appear strong, and that's what they want you to think. They are using their monopoly on violent force to harm us, and they are trying to look like strongman. They have funded ICE to the hilt so that they can terrorize our communities, but what they are doing is deeply unpopular. I know this is the left hook. This is not left versus right, though. Waj,
No.
you know this. This is not ideological. Americans don't like to be fucked with. They don't like the federal government coming in and messing with them in their communities. That's not ideological. That's 250 years old. That's why we kicked out the goddamn British. That's what this country was founded on, that we want to be let alone by some foreign force. We don't want that. And we need to recognize that, because we are not some marginal force in the public that's organizing against this regime. We are the majority. We are the vast majority. And folks on the right and folks in the center and folks on the left do not want to see masked secret police, federal agents coming in and murdering their residents. Not an ideological statement. How do we get the change that we need? Here's what I'm going to tell you. Not going to come from some investigation from this regime. That's not happening. You're going to be waiting a long time if that's what your hope is. And it's not going to come if you just wait for your Democratic electeds to suddenly do the right thing because they know it's the right thing to do. This is not a knock on our Democratic electeds. I knock them all the time. It's not a knock on them. This is how democracy works.
That's right.
They will follow the people.
Yes.
Every elected official in this moment is looking left and they're looking the right and they're saying, well, how pissed off are people? Is this just like a little pissed off and then we'll move on? Or are they really pissed off? Because I got to figure that out. I got to figure out how seriously to take this. So if you want action from your elected officials, you need to show the fuck up. Over the next 48 hours, you need to show up. And you need to do it in coordination with your community members. So I would highly recommend, do not donate a dime to Indivisible or any other online effort to raise money unless it's to support the family directly. Don't click any kind of petition. Don't just focus on Blue Sky or Instagram or TikTok. Find the people in your community and organize with them over the coming days to express your outrage and demand action from your elected officials. And if you're looking for a way to do that, I would highly recommend you join the call tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's how you're going to learn what the action items are that we're doing together and how to connect to your community.
We're going to keep repeating that, but Ezra, for people who want to join the call led by Indivisible tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time, how do they get information? What's the website? What's the deets?
Yeah. So, and I want to be clear, this is not an Indivisible only thing. We're hosting the call, like it's on our servers, but this is much bigger than Indivisible. And I would not say, look, maybe you're part of an Indivisible group. That's great. Maybe you're part of a local Working Families Party chapter, or part of Move On, or you sign up for 50, or you're part of a local 50-51 group. That's awesome. I care that you're involved locally in some real way, fundamentally. But if you're looking for a way to join the call, you can go to indivisible.org. You'll find a link to it. You can register and join. This is not just a rah call. I know everybody's sick of those where you get on and everybody expresses their anger and you log off and you're like, well, what the hell are we supposed to do now? No, this call is to provide context and specific actions that we are going to do together. That is the goal of this. So indivisible.org, you can go sign up and watch tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight.
Folks, and what Ezra is saying is, I want you all to sit for a second, and we're gonna talk about some good news as well. Donald Trump is negative double digits on the economy. He's negative double digits on healthcare. He's negative 30 on Epstein. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten about the Epstein scandal. The survivors haven't forgotten about the Epstein scandal. He's tried to distract from the Epstein scandal. I'm not making this up. When he announced invading Venezuela, that was the same day that the DOJ was compelled to provide evidence why they redacted those files. So those Epstein files, America has not forgotten about it. And furthermore, he's negative double digits on foreign policy. Some good news as of 25 minutes ago, I don't know if you saw, the Senate voted 52-47 with 5 Republicans to advance a measure restricting Trump's power to use military force in Venezuela. A very rare warning shot in Congress that holds Trump accountable. This is how much he's overreached, that 5 Republicans joined Democrats and passed the War Powers resolution to restrict Donald Trump's unilateral invasion and taking of Venezuela's oil, which she has openly admitted to because they're so lazy and reckless. They don't even bother to lie to us anymore. Ezra, I remember the old type of criminals and war criminals. At least they used to have a theater and perform about weapons of mass destruction. This new group is so lazy. They're like, oil, we're just going to take the oil. So that is a huge rebuke, folks. Take the wins where you can. And he's negative double digits on immigration. He has overreached on immigration. Immigration used to be his strongest issue. And all the polls show that a majority of Americans are against ICE. They're sick and tired of them zip tying kids. They're sick and tired of them terrorizing communities. They're sick and tired of them literally shooting priests in the face with pepper balls. And I guarantee you, you keep this in the news with your outrage, a majority of Americans, even there was a right-leaning white guy yesterday. I'm sure you saw the video. He goes, "Man, I'm right-leaning.
I did see
I
that.
don't, I don't support this." So they don't have the numbers. I have to ask you two more questions, Ezra. Um, why, oh, why do we need ICE? And why should we support any Democrat who still supports ICE?
Look,
Make the
ICE
case. Make the case for me. What am I missing? What am I missing?
Not only do we not need ICE, ICE is a new agency. It was created, as you noted, during the War on Terror. We did not have ICE before the 21st century. It was created by the Trump administration in response to, as part of their broadly xenophobic agenda in the wake of 9/11. That's why we got ICE. It is a broken.
Created by the Bush administration. You said Trump.
Oh,
Excellent.
sorry. I'm sorry. Bush. Yeah. By the Bush administration. It is not only an unnecessary agency, it is an actively harmful agency that is run amok. And what Trump has done to it is make it the largest federal law enforcement agency in the history of the republic. It is larger than the militaries of sizable countries. If people are worried about what ICE is doing now, y'all, the funds have just started to flow down to ICE. Why aren't we seeing the exact same thing that's happening in Minneapolis, in New York, in Austin, in Tallahassee, in Albany, in San Francisco? Why not? Because they don't have the money yet, but it's coming. This is a taste of what is to come. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's going to get worse before it gets better. Now, it's going to get better because we're going to make it better, but you should expect they are ramping up. They are not even pretending to be serving the best interests of the public. They are systematically attacking blue cities and blue states to terrorize their communities. That is the goal, and there is more to come. But here's the thing about bullies. They're weak as fuck. They're scared of pushback. If the people show up and push back, they will retreat. That's how bullies work. So it is our responsibility to peacefully, but with force, show up in mass and say, we're not going to put up with this. We will not accept this fascism. And then we're going to stomp them in the midterms, and people are going to face consequences for the crimes they are committing. I think that is very important. I don't just want elected officials in the Democratic side who are running for office and who are taking votes. I don't want them just talking about the funding bill now. I want them to talk about the overwhelming oversight and accountability that is just over the horizon. Because when the next ICE agent pulls out his gun and tries to think, well, should I take this shot or not? I want him thinking, I could go to prison for life if I do this. I want him knowing that there are going to be consequences. And when the next regime official tries to decide whether to go along with the unconstitutional or illegal order they get from the higher up, I want them thinking, well, when the Dems are in charge, I might get subpoenaed. I might actually personally face consequences. I want them knowing that today. I want them knowing that now, not next year when we retake the House and Senate. I want them knowing that now. But the way we get that, again, it all comes down to, do we express sufficient outrage in this moment and in the weeks and months to come? Or do we just shrug our shoulders and say, well, what do you expect? Trump's evil and the Democrats are feckless, so that's just what we get. If that's our response to this, if we believe that we are powerless, if we believe that this regime is all powerful, then it is true. But if we act as if we've actually got the power that we've got, it's over for them. They are a weak, lame duck force that is on the way out, and the era of accountability is just around the corner.
And I believe there's litmus tests now. If there is a Democratic senator, or if there is a Democrat running for the House, or if there is a Democratic presidential candidate who doesn't say abolish ICE, I don't need you. Because if you're willing to support a state-sanctioned terrorist goon squad that straight up murders American citizens and kidnaps kids, I'm done with you.
Yep.
Like, why do we need it? I'm sorry. And if you're too cowardly, pathetic, and feckless to message properly, then you're useless to me. Yesterday, AOC showed leadership. She literally went to the steps of Congress and she talked about why ICE is completely unaccountable. It's a rogue agency. I need this type of message consistently across the board. And now is the moment. And I hate to say this, this is a tragedy. You can rally people around ICE in this moment if you choose to, if you are built for this moment, if you understand the moment. But if you are completely out of touch and belong to the corporate donor base and are perfectly fine supporting Netanyahu's genocide, then probably you're fine with ICE and its fascism here at home. And I'm done with you. The last thing I want to ask you about this, Ezra, is what about economic boycotts? Because I know Indivisible labeled Spotify, and Spotify and among other companies like Hilton are perfectly fine running ads and or supporting ICE. But that was before yesterday.
Okay.
Talk to us about economic boycotts and how they can be very useful in this moment.
I think economic boycotts are critical. And also, we have not used them to the extent that they need to be used. I view this as a muscle that the movement has to develop over the course of the next several months, because if we don't, here's where we're headed. Trump is going to lose the midterm elections, and then he's going to try to steal the midterm elections. And what will not prevent that is a one-day protest. I don't care how many people come out. I don't care if No Kings 5 has 15 million people out. If it's a one-day protest, then the country will move on. And the way to actually push back against the regime trying to undermine the democracy is using every tool available to you, and economic boycotts, economic pressure is absolutely key. Spotify is a good example of this. We have been running this Spotify boycott campaign because if you do not pay for Spotify but you use it and you get ads in between the songs that you hear, they are recruiting for ICE. In between you're listening to Rage Against the Machine, there's a break in between songs, and then there's a join ICE and you get $100,000 bonus. That's the reality that we live in right now. People don't want to switch from Spotify. It's a pain in the ass. They don't want to lose their playlists. They have to go and find an Apple Music or YouTube or a Tidal or a different platform. And so it requires some pain. But here's what I'll say. You know what's a lot more painful? A secret police force murdering your neighbors.
There you go.
If you want to push back against this regime, part of this is expressing outrage, and part of this is using the tools available to you. One of the big ones is your pocketbook. And so I do think, especially one thing we're cooking up in the lead up to the Grammys and a big Spotify party for the Grammys, I think we should be applying a lot of pressure to Spotify. We should be trying to make a big deal of it. It's not that Spotify is the only or even the worst actor, but that's not how boycotts work. The way boycotts work is you pick out one of the bad actors and you say, we're making an example of you, because when we make an example of you, it means everybody else looks and says, oh shit, I don't want to be the next Spotify. The same way people looked at Disney and said, oh shit, after we canned Kimmel and there was massive outrage, we don't want to be the next Disney. Let's avoid demonstrating that we're kowtowing the regime. So I do think boycotts like this are important, and I think we're at the early stages of it yet. So far, and we're going to have to build up this muscle. So if you are using Spotify, we're at the early stages of trying to build up the pressure. Join this, take on a little bit of additional effort and get more people to switch to different music platforms. This is not the only way we're going to defeat this regime. It's not the only way we're going to defeat the secret police force, but it's going to become an increasingly important way that we do it.
Folks, we have the numbers. I always want you to remember we have the numbers, and I always want you to keep your eyes wide open. And for those of us who said that this is an authoritarian right-wing regime playing for all the marbles, you need to believe the evidence of your eyes and your ears. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Ezra. Just open up your eyes and see. They have unleashed the National Guard against the American people. The military, master-armed ICE agents are now in Minneapolis for no reason whatsoever. They've shot and killed a woman. They've already killed 30 people in detention. They're zip-tying kids. There's a trade war. Donald Trump doesn't even hide his imperialist agenda. Stephen Miller goes there on Jake Tapper, thumps his chest and says, American might. They're going to take Greenland. They're going to blow up NATO. Just believe them. You've seen it. They promote Nazi conspiracy theories. You saw the thousands of pages of text between young Republican leaders in their 20s and 30s promoting pro-Nazi talking points. They love Hitler. You see them embracing Nick Fuentes, who loves Hitler. The DHS has promoted remigrate, which is an ethnic cleansing term used by white nationalists. What more do you need to see and hear? And now, to your face, they disrespect you so much. They have such little faith even in their own base that they lie to their base. They say, don't believe your eyes. Don't believe your lying eyes in the video you've seen. Renee Good, a 37-year-old unarmed mother, she was a domestic terrorist. And if a white mother in the suburbs, Ezra, and I'm using this very specifically, deliberately, if a white mom is not safe in the United States of America and she can be murdered and then retroactively justified for her death is justified with the DHS Secretary Kristi Noem calling her a domestic terrorist, what do you think is going to happen to you? If they can murder a white woman, what do you think will happen to you? And they didn't even wait a day before spinning her murder and calling her a domestic terrorist. Folks, if the Democrats are incapable and unwilling to fight, and sadly, folks, the Democratic leadership isn't, that means they're not the leaders for us. We're the leaders. We have to cull the party. And now's the moment, right, Ezra? We got 6 months not 6 months, primaries are about to happen.
It's right in front of us. It's right in front of us. Now is the time to get in. So if I order of operations, I would say tonight,
Yep.
join the call in coordination with everybody. Again, go to indivisible.org or your favorite partner site, register for the call, join. 2, join the call to action. We're going to be doing something together as a country to express our outrage. Be part of that. Recruit your community members to be part of that. 3, we are in the midst of primary season. You might have an active primary in your backyard. That's great. Maybe you don't. Then go and adopt 1 or 2 of your favorite Democratic challengers and say, that's my gal, that's my guy. I like what they're bringing to the table. I'm going to support them and get them in office. This is how we win, y'all. It's not going to just be one because Trump is unpopular or because he's a fascist. It's going to be one because we stand up and organize to push back.
Indivisible.org. It's tonight. And oh, look, we got Michael Blake on right as Ezra's about to leave. Michael Blake. Do you know Ezra, Michael?
It's good to see you. I follow your work. I know what you've been doing. But I need some of those signs with me.
We have Michael Blake is American politician, member of the Democratic Party, formerly served as a New York Assemblyman, ran for mayor, supported Zohran Mamdani, was the vice chair of the DNC, and is now, speaking about primaries, perfect setup, is running against Richie Torres and to replace Richie Torres. Ezra, thank you so much. Everyone, the call is tonight, indivisible.org, 8 p.m. Do something, get active, put bodies in the streets. Ezra, I really appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, Wes.
Hey, everyone. We have Mr. Michael Blake. Michael Blake, like I said, is running to replace Richie Torres, the Democrat who seems to be more interested in promoting Netanyahu in AIPAC. Too soon, Michael, or not soon enough? And Michael reached out to me. He was also running for mayor. And then did this awesome, what I call ethnic Avengers with Brad Lander and supported Zohran Mamdani. And, I think you probably saw some of my tweets and posts yesterday where I'm like, how come Democrats aren't coming out against ICE? If you're not against ICE and fascism at home, how can I trust you? And Michael's like, I need to talk to you. So Michael, you are up. You're running for, first tell people what you're running for.
Running for Congress because we deserve much better than Richie Torres. Richie Torres is effectively a Republican. Richie doesn't give a damn about us in the Bronx. He is not fighting for us. He's not helping us anyway. And so this is the most diverse district in America, poorest congressional district in America. And we deserve much better than Richie Torres. And I'm a son of immigrants, and I'm here to do what's right. And I've been very clear. We got to say no to AIPAC. We got to say no to ICE, and we got to say no to Richie Torres.
So let's speak about ICE. Amen. Michael, your response to seeing the video of an ICE agent murdering Renee Good in cold blood.
Inhumane, barbaric, illegal. It's every indication of a fascist regime in Trump. There was no reason at all on why they got out the car. It was clearly focused on trying to attack that woman. And when you think about how we got here, you should be pissed off. Look, we got to tell, but ICE needs to get the fuck out of our cities. Like, there's just no reason why they're there. And you think about roll up on a woman shoot a woman, murder a woman, assassinate a woman, and lied about it. The brave hero who recorded that video, otherwise we would not know the truth, but we could tell what was going down. And so now we have an opportunity to hold people accountable. And look, we got to be very clear. There's people like Richie Torres who last year praised ICE, gave him gratitude for what they're doing. Richie Torres is the same person who also voted on the Laken Riley Act to increase deportation. So not only is it inhumane in what we saw in Minneapolis, a place that's very personal for me. It's the third state I went to with President Obama. After Iowa and South Carolina, I went to Minneapolis. It's a place where the Somalian community showed us love. They're not out here breaking the law. There's not fraud. There's none of that bullshit that's going on. So when you watch that video, unlike, again, unfortunately, like 6 years ago where it was like George Floyd all over again, the video is telling you the truth. And for anyone that's not willing to speak up and hold these people accountable, they got to go. They have to go. If you are wondering anymore about if you're safe, if you cannot drive or walk anywhere in America and wonder if ICE in their rogue ass behavior will kill you, then what are we talking about? And so we want to get serious about democracy. That means we got to get people out, and people like Richie got to go.
People like Richie got to go, but I'm glad you mentioned Laken Riley Act because Ezra mentioned as well. I've been mentioning a lot on the left hook. I bring receipts, Michael, and I saw last year many in the Democrats, not all, they thought, okay, the wind is blowing towards Trump and against woke, so let's vote for the Laken Riley Act. It could not have passed without Democratic votes. Let's platform Charlie Kirk. Let's platform Steve Bannon. Let's throw transgender folks under the bus. Let's throw pro-Palestinian activists under the bus. Let's spend millions of dollars to try to find the liberal Joe Rogan. And then the universe said, here's Zoran Mamdani, who comes out of nowhere and runs on a message of affordability against the oligarchy and promises to throw no one under the bus. And to this day, January 8th, 2026, the Democratic leadership still has not embraced Mamdani. Donald Trump has publicly embraced Mamdani before Chuck Schumer, Gillibrand, and Hakeem Jeffries. Your response?
Well, including Rich Torres, who still did not do a damn thing to help. It's one of the reasons why I cross-endorsed with Mayor Mamdani, because I was like, look, immigrants get the job done. And so we understand that as a son of immigrants myself. And so let's be clear about the difference you have here. You have a moment where what we should be talking about, how do we raise wages? How do we reduce costs? How do we reimagine our communities like in the Bronx? I've been very clear in rejecting AIPAC, and I've been on the evolution. I've been very transparent about it. I fell for their propaganda. I fell for their lies. I fell for the messaging that I didn't understand. And people need to be real about that dynamic. And I said, look, this is not who we are. This is not who we stand for. A genocide is happening. Point blank. Let's not ignore that. What's happening against the people is wrong. It's unacceptable. And we have an opportunity to say enough is enough. And so when we think about where we're at here today, it's about saying, what do we deserve? We deserve Democrats that are going to fight for us in every possible way. We deserve Democrats who will say that, yes, reject AIPAC, abolish ICE, and stand up against fascism. We deserve Democrats who are actually going to embrace Zoran Mamdani, someone who, as you know, because we did this before, and I'm grateful for you, we cross-endorsed each other because Zoran and I were talking about what was real for the people. Rich Torres never endorsed Zoran, never supported him. He decided to endorse a complete sexual predator who killed people in nursing homes in Andrew Cuomo. And so for everybody that's listening and watching right now, my name is Michael Blake. I am running for Congress in the Bronx against Richie Torres because he has to go, because we need real Democrats that are going to fight for us right now. And I'm coming with a very clear vision on what we got to do. When we talk about affordability, let's end credit scores, let's increase income limits, and let's focus on how do we help people have a local median income so you can have a home. Let's cancel student debt and have Medicare for all. And let's make sure that we are actually protecting our immigrants. And this is a moment where it's very important for people to see this. And you can see this. Go to our website, michaelblakeforcongress.com. You'll see it all there, everybody. Look, you have someone in Richie Torres who voted for the Laken Riley Act. And for people that don't understand the magnitude of this, it increases deportations by ending due process. Think about how inhumane that is. You have someone in Rich Torres who will not speak out negatively about Kristi Noem, will not talk about ICE. He actually expressed gratitude for ICE. And then you need to ask yourself, who are the Democrats and leaders that we need, and I'm one of them.
And, I think this is a litmus test. Now, I've said this before, Michael, and I want your take on this. I believe for Democratic leaders moving forward, and we're in primary season, and you're primarying Richie Torres, who seems to be more interested in kissing up to Israel than ever representing his own district. But if you are a Democrat running in 2026, I believe the litmus tests are the following. And please tell me if you disagree with me, let me know. If you still suck at the corporate teat and promote the oligarchy, you're not the Democrat that we need. Thank you for your service. Bye. If you still support AIPAC and kiss up to Netanyahu, I'm sorry, but you cannot fight fascists at home if you're supporting a genocide abroad. And I will now add this one as a litmus test. If you still support ICE and you're not for abolishing it or for accountability, get the F out, because what you're saying is you support a rogue agency that murders Americans, and you want me and my community to vote for you, even though you vote for a genocide abroad and for fascism at home. I think those are three major litmus tests for Democrats moving forward. And I would add a fourth one. If you're willing to throw anyone under the bus, undocumented immigrants, Somalis, Haitians, the woke, transgender students, we don't need you. Because you have to create a big boat that lifts all of us up. Those are my four litmus tests for Democrats moving forward. If they really, really want to capture, I think, the majority, and where the majority is, I wanted your response to my analysis.
It sounded like you just told people to go to michaelblakeforcongress.com on why they should elect me and get rid of Richie Torres, right?
Well played, sir. Well played.
It's like, it's pretty clear cut where we're at right now, right? We just watched, again, an assassination. Let's just call it what it is, right? We're watching an assassination, and we have Democrats unwilling to directly call it what it is, right? You have Democrats like Richie Torres who have praised ICE, will not call for the abolishment of it, and clearly care more about keeping Bibi happy than helping the people of the Bronx. And so what I'm saying right now is, let's be real. And let's change the game in a impactful way. When I was an assembly member, what did I do? We created the My Brothers Keep It program so that Black and brown boys could go to school and graduate from school. Now we have My Sisters Keep It program. We stood up for our immigrants by focusing on what we're doing for Dreamers. When I was leading and getting people elected with President Obama and with President Biden, we did the right things to help our people too. What are we saying right now? If you cannot say, which I am saying, reject AIPAC, especially given what's happening, not just in the last 2 years, but beyond. And again, I'm going to be very honest, real, and sincere about this. There's a lot of things I didn't know before. Yeah, I was on the trip before, I've seen things before, but now when you're in a meeting and they say you can't talk about apartheid, you realize, okay, this is not where I need to be. When President Obama's photo goes up and they start booing in the room, you realize this is not where I gotta be. And when I think about, like, I ran for Congress in 2020, and people will say, well, you submitted position papers and other items in the past. Yeah, but I've learned. And I would say to people, ask yourself, if you have a child or children or students, won't you want them to change when they learn the truth? I see the truth, and I see what's going on right now. We're going to speak up about this in a very real way. You have a regime that is trying to eliminate a people. Full stop. And at the end of the day, we're watching that not just in the Middle East, but we're seeing it here. Take it a step further. You have the absolute inhumanity of Donald Trump freezing $10 billion from Democratic states because he's claiming migrant fraud. Absolute bullshit and nonsense. And so he's now trying to tell us that you can't get money for childcare because he thinks there's a fraud. The only fraud is Donald Trump nationally, Kristi Noem, and the fraud that's locally is Richie Torres, a man who people need to see the truth. Don't be confused by his smiles and his TV ads and all the things. Listen to him and what he is doing. And if you want to support a real Democrat that's going to actually help the Bronx and make you proud, my name is Michael Blake, and I'm asking you to join us.
I've been on Richie Torres for a while because I see him as AIPAC's pet. And his full-throated support for Netanyahu, Bibi, Israel, the genocide and occupation. And if you all really want to see Richie Torres and how he just completely lacks any compassion whatsoever for Palestinians, watch what I thought was his most devastating public appearance in a conversation with comedian Adam Friedland. Adam Friedland, Richie Torres. Go check it out. It went viral, where Richie just looks like a psychopath, like just completely incapable of expressing any empathy for Palestinians who've been killed by Israel. And I'm just really curious, Michael. I know you're running for office, but why, oh, why do the people of Queens keep voting for this guy?
Well, look, he's been out in other areas. We're only in the Bronx, and so he only won because we didn't have someone step up. But now I'm here, right? Now I'm here, and we're telling people, like, if you're ready for something real, I'm here, right?
The Bronx.
He's won these two elections and re-elections. Was like, okay, now it's time for something different. And I also want to bring in the fact I'm an ordained reverend, right? And I have been to the Middle East. I've seen what's been happening there. And I remind people, Jesus was a Palestinian Jew, a refugee in a foreign land, someone who they said should not be here because of his skin color and because of not having money. I'm also born on Christmas Day. So it's real personal for me. So when I have someone who tries to tell me, well, you criticizing what's happening there is wrong, let me be very clear. Don't conflate the two. The same way I can criticize Trump and the U.S. government, and that does not make me anti-American. Criticizing Bibi and AIPAC and what they're doing does not make someone anti-Israel and There's a big difference. Don't let them try to confuse us and try to divide us and play this game. But we do have to say that where AIPAC is right now, where they are standing, is wrong and it's unacceptable. What is going on with ICE is wrong and it's unacceptable. And we now have a choice. And if you are pissed off at what's going on with Fetterman on the Senate side, well, the one on the House side is Richie Torres. And I'm saying very clearly, stop the genocide. Stop funding a genocide. Be very clear. Stop the funding of ICE. Abolish ICE. We're being very clear. Medicare for all. Help our communities. Fight for our communities. And if you are ready for something different, then I'm here.
Michael, what you just said seems to be popular with the people, but I have ears and eyes, and I know for a fact the Democratic establishment and corporate donors do not like what you've said. What's been the response from the Democratic leadership to your primary run against Richie Torres?
I've been endorsed by Mayor Bill de Blasio. We've been endorsed by Tamika Maryland Until Freedom. We've been endorsed by the Alliance of South Asian and American Labor. We've been endorsed by Veterans Action Now. The people are ready to rock with us. Whoever asked about Act Blue, go to michaelblakeforcongress.com. You can find it right there. I appreciate that. Who just asked that there. Look, at the end of the day, you don't do this. You understand me. That's why you have the left hook. You don't do this because you're trying to do what's easy. I do this because it's right. Right? I do this because it was right. And people are looking for something real. And look, if you've made the decision that you want to keep helping Richie Torres, especially after the last 48 hours, that's on you. But you really have to ask yourself, and yes, I've been rocking with WFP regularly. As someone who just asked me that. Much love to the WFP crew. You got to ask yourself, if a man in Richie Torres, who has invested and profited off of the war, it is public information that he invested in the weapons makers in the genocide. If you have a man in Richie Torres who has praised and expressed gratitude for ICE, will not talk about the abolishment of ICE, has denigrated immigrants, has disrespected and never endorsed Mayor Mamdani, has decided that AIPAC is more important than what's happening on the block, then you can go be with him. But if you want to be with the people, if you want to be with a son of Jamaican immigrants, which my family's from Jamaica, and it's home for me. If you want to be with someone who's actually doing what's right, if you want to be with someone who's actually standing up for what's right now, that's why I'm here. And anyone across the country, you can help us. You can help us make phone calls. You can help us with donations. You can help us with volunteers, because we're going up against a system. But the reality is we can defeat the system. This is the same dynamic that was told to me in 2006, 2008, when they were like, you can't get this man named Barack Obama elected. And we did. We've seen it in New York with AOC. We've seen it in New York with Zohar Mamdani. I'm asking that you now do it with Michael Blake so we can defeat Richie Torres, who has no damn business being there to represent our people.
There's two questions from the community. Number one, someone asked, has Chuck Schumer officially endorsed you?
He has not made any endorsements in this race.
Second question I have is someone ask Michael about white Christian nationalism, and I'm assuming the threat about white Christian nationalism. Your response?
It's terrifying. Look, it's terrifying in every possible way. And we can't ignore it, right? Like, we're in a scenario now where it's on the rise. It's trying to attack us. It's trying to divide us. And as a ordained Christian reverend, I'm not going to let them use their rhetoric to hurt us any longer.
Absolutely, amen. And I've always said this before on the Left Hook, and people know who've watched these spaces, that I believe we have to go on the offense and use the Bible and Jesus against these frauds and these hypocrites. I had John Fugelsang, who has a fantastic book called Separation of Church and Hate, where he does just that. He attacks them and their alleged religious authority by using the Bible and Jesus and his teachings. And he says these people are the most fundamentally anti-Christian people on earth. And I, as the practicing Muslim who went to an all-boys Jesuit Catholic high school and read the Bible, try to do my part as well. But we can't cede the ground, Michael. Actually, I do want to ask you this because you're an ordained minister. I believe a weakness of the Democratic Party, maybe even progressives, right? I understand that a lot of people are atheists, a lot of people who are nuns, N-O-N-E-S, and also welcome nuns, N-U-N-S. I know people are critical of religion. I get all of that. I know people think you and me are stupid for being educated men who believe in God. I get it. I understand all of it, folks. But we have voluntarily ceded the ground to the religious right that then uses and abuses religious language and values that motivate millions of Americans, right? Who, I always joke that religious people think they're like either vegans or carnivores. They're like omnivores. They'll identify, they'll go they'll pray once in a while, but it nonetheless is a very powerful force that moves people and also moves politics. And Democrats, especially those who believe or those who are well versed in these traditions, should lean into it and not cede the ground when it comes to using religious values to advance progressive causes. Your response?
We think about whether it be whatever name we call the creator, whether it be Allah, whether it be God, whether it be Jesus, Jehovah, whatever name we call the creator, we have allowed for a white Christian national right to try to dictate to us the values on faith while ignoring the core premise of the values that are taught in our respective books. Poverty is discussed more than any other topic. And so when we think about serving the least of these, how do I serve the least of these? Did I feed you and did I clothe you? Did I do that for the immigrant brothers and sisters? And so to the degree of allowing an entity to try to tell us of what's best for us is nonsense. And we've been silent for too long. Dr. King said, in the end, we remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. We can't be silent in this moment. And when you have people who are trying to tell you about your values, they'll try to tell you about your values when it comes to the topics that they want to use for their gain for winning a campaign. But where are those values when you just assassinated a woman in Minneapolis? Where are those values when you had ICE running up on family members in New York? Where are those values when you were trying to destroy and divide our communities? Those values clearly weren't present there. And so let's be clear, they're utilizing the language, but they're not abiding by the words. Right. And so we have a moment here. And I tell people, I have just last week, I was at Masjid Sabur in South and West Bronx on Bay Bridge Avenue, speaking with some brothers and sisters there. And I said to them, we're on the same journey. We've had people who try to talk about us in a negative manner in all the possible ways, but it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable, and it's a lie, and it's a game. Our values, our faith is what needs to drive us, not the lies. Well, can I see someone just ask something in the chat that I want to be very direct about. Is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
I see someone asking me about Echelon. This is a hit piece from Richie Torres. Let me be very direct on this. Richie Torres and his cronies have been trying to run this article about us for an entity. I am the president of Next Level Sports Entertainment, a Black-owned sports TV network. I joined them when I was at Next Collegiate League, which is a lacrosse league, before that Atlanta Blaze. The same owner of the entity also owns a company called Echelon, which has done AI, cybersecurity, and has advised minority and women-owned businesses in the work they've been doing across the country. Because we've been attacking Richie Torres, who has been investing in weapons makers, their lazy Oppo research has tried to say, well, you work for a defense contractor that's supporting the war. No, we've done nothing as it relates to the genocide. No, we have not been engaged in the Middle East. It's the same owner. And I would just ask people to actually take the information and read it from there. The only reason why this is emerging right now is because Richie's afraid of us. They're trying to attack us on the truth. So here's the clear dividing line. Richie Torres, by his public acknowledgement, invested and profited off of the weapons makers. I work for a sports company where the owner has advised minority businesses. They're not even in the same stratosphere. And for someone who my oldest brother is a military vet, a U.S. Army vet, I think we can appreciate and use good common sense in saying there's a big difference from someone who has served in the military, or if they're a vendor for the Department of Defense and cleaning of uniforms or washing of floors or AI versus profiting off of a war. So that is the truth right there. And I'm coming to you saying that direct. That yes, I'm an ordained reverend, but I also cuss that I'm direct because we don't have games that we could play right now. And we've got to be very intentional of communicating to people who we are and what we're doing and why I am better than Richie Torres in helping our people.
No, I appreciate that. I think people are sick of the okey doke. They're sick of lies. They're sick of the slick talking points. They're sick of fraud. They want authenticity. They want truth. They want transparency, and they want bluntness. So I appreciate you actually confronting this and setting the record straight and telling people to go, use their own common sense and do the research. And also the fact that you've come around on several issues, whether it comes to support for Israel, whether it comes to, your criticism of ICE. Look, Michael, I'm going to be blunt. For me, politicians are tools that are used by the people to advance the greatest good. Sometimes you sharpen the tool with pressure, and if the tool is dull, you replace the tool and bring in another, right? And so we need public servants who are willing to be tools for the people, and I'm going to be straight up, be a weapon against the oligarchy, against systems of oppression, against these ossified institutions that serve the 1% at the expense of the 99%. So any public servant that can be used by the people to pursue these noble aims, I will support. And if a public servant is ossified and is unwilling to meet the moment, unwilling to say abolish ICE, unwilling to back away from AIPAC, unwilling to criticize an ongoing genocide, unwilling to fight for accountability, I'm not going to support them. And I believe, Michael, that this vote blue no matter who, I'm done with it. I believe Democrats have to earn the votes, and it's time for us to cull the party. We got to cull the party of the weak folks and replace them with the fighters. I know you're a Democrat, but what do you think about my strategy?
It's not just a strategy, it's a necessity. People out here dying. People getting deported. People being arrested. It's about the right type of leader. It's not just about electing someone who's a Democrat. Look, let's go back to the mayoral primary. There was a bunch of Democrats out there, and there's some fake ones. Andrew Cuomo is not a real Democrat, right? Zohran Mamdani was. And they keep attacking this man because what he's trying to do, he's trying to actually help the people. And so you have a moment right now that you got to ask yourself, who's on the right side? Who's actually having the values? Who is serious about, and who's willing to acknowledge change? I'm coming to you to say very clearly, I've learned, I'm better, I'm stronger, and I'm ready to lead in this moment. And in this moment, you might have had some people 48 hours, 72 hours ago who were still talking about trying to protect and maybe what's happening around migrants and immigrants is not that bad, which we saw and know it has been terrible what's been going on across the country. You can't watch video like that and be the same. And if you are the same, you need to go. And just ask yourself, you have someone in Richie Torres who will not say abolish ICE, will not denounce the genocide, has voted for the Lake and Riley Act to deport immigrants, has done nothing around addressing affordability. Richie Torres has one bill that has become law that he's the prime sponsor, and it's about investigating fire safety. It's not about helping our people. And so when you want to ask yourself, who is ready right now, whether it be in the Senate side where Fetterman got to go, or in the House side where Richie got to go, it's about having the right Democrats with the right values and the right message. My name is Michael Blake, and I'm being very clear. You want to guarantee a job, you want a guaranteed income, you want a guaranteed home, rock with us. You want to raise wages, you want to reduce costs, you want to reimagine the Bronx, rock with us. You want to have Medicare for all and cancel student debt, you want to abolish ICE, and you want to reject AIPAC and stand against a genocide, we are here. If you're serious about protecting immigrants and not deporting immigrants, we are here. And so we are here to do something special and real, and we just ask for you to join us right now because it's our time.
There you go. Abolish ICE, reject AIPAC, fight against fascism at home and fascism abroad. Second time you've been on the show, Michael. Thank you so much. First time you were running for mayor, and now you're running for Congress to replace Richie Torres, who seems to essentially just parrot Netanyahu's talking points. And I believe the people of the Bronx deserve better. So if you agree, Michael Blake is your man, and you can go support him. Thank you so much. I hope you can inspire Democratic leadership to now finally say abolish ICE. I think it's time. I think it's been time. I do not know why. Last question before I let you go. There is an opportunity right here, a funding opportunity. Democrats can stop the funding of DHS. Representative Jay Paul and a few other Democrats have come out last night and say, we're done. We're not going to fund DHS. Your take?
Well, first we need to impeach Christy Nome, right? That has to be a part of this as well, and use this moment to shut down the government for the right reason. We had no damn reason at all that they agreed to open back up the government and not protect affordable health care and give up the subsidies. But now here's your moment. Stop the government funding if they're going to continue this nonsense with ICE and DHS. This is not homeland security. This is a homeland division and racism and hate and destruction. And we got to say enough is enough. So let's be very practical in what we can do. Yes, we need to abolish ICE. Yes, we need to withhold the funding. Yes, we need to impeach Christy Nome. And we have to be very direct for the Democrats who supported the Laken Riley Act. Richie Torres being one. Ask them every single day, why did you make a decision that would make it easier to deport immigrants? They do not deserve to be our Democratic representatives. And if they're unwilling to do that, then it's time for them to go.
Time for them to go, folks. Here it is. The primaries. Michael's running. We got 6 months. In fact, Minneapolis, it's a month. The time is now. Thank you all for watching. There's 2,600 people. That's fantastic for a live Substack. This is going to be up later. I was talking to Ezra Levin of Indivisible about how we can organize against ICE, and then Michael Blake, who was running for mayor and is now running for Congress as a Democrat, primarying Richie Torres for a seat in the Bronx. He joined us, and he's saying he's going 10 toes down. Abolish ICE, reject AIPAC. Amen. Folks, this is The Left Hook. I have no paywalls. Michael, I'm a terrible capitalist, much to the chagrin of my immigrant parents, but I believe the information should be free. I depend on the kindness of strangers and the viewers. So it's $5 a month, but I have a terrible capitalist New Year's special where if you do it in this month, forever, you get 25% off. Check out this deal, Michael. $3.75 a month. That's it. I just
that's a
posted
good
it right
deal.
now. theleftook.substack.com/special, $3.75 a month forever. If you want to support us, if you like what you've heard, if you don't have the money, I understand. Times are tough. At the very least, subscribe. I have kept everything for free. I made a vow to keep everything for free on YouTube at YouTube Wajahat Ali at The Left Hook. Understand, just listen. If you like the message, if you like I hate using this word, but this is what everyone uses, the content, spread it. I believe we need to have an informed population. We have the numbers, but we have to be informed. We have to have our eyes wide open. We have to be, dare I say, Michael, woke, so then we can take on fascists both here and abroad. Michael, thank you so much. And where can people support you?
Appreciate you, and we're going to be supporting you. What you're doing is necessary. The Left Hook is a vibe, man. I love seeing the updates every time, so much love. If you like what I've said, everybody, if you're willing to donate to us, it could be $5, $10, $25, whatever it may be, up to $3,500 being the max, whatever you can do. Michael Blake, FORCongress.com, michaelblakeforcongress.com. Sign up, donate, volunteer, support us, and tell people that you got a real one. If you are sick and tired of Richie Torres and you know we deserve better, my name is Michael Blake, and I just want you to rock with us.
And Richie's got to go. Richie's gotta go. Thank you, everyone. Be kind, be informed. I'll be back at 4:15 with 2 doctors, another major crisis. I know there's so many, Michael, but RFK is a death merchant who wants to kill our kids, and he's dismantling the CDC and vaccines. I'm not making this up, folks. It's very important. I know we got foreign policy. I know we got ICE, but we also have to talk about RFK and the dismantling of our public healthcare infrastructure. So I got 2 doctors coming at 4:15, and I got David Rothkopf coming at 5 o'clock to talk about the inevitable cluster F and blowback that will emerge from Donald Trump's imperialist agenda, both at home and abroad. So come back at 4 and 5. Thank you, Michael. Come back anytime. And everyone else, be kind, be informed, and please, oh, please don't be a fascist. Take care.
Peace. Thank you, bro.